Today, I invite you to focus our attention on one character in the upper room, Thomas. I have always wondered why Thomas is called the twin in the Gospels. The version that we read today, the New American Bible, kept the word in Greek, Thomas Didymus, which means twin. Sa Tagalog, kambal. Probably because they were also at a loss whether or not the author meant the word literally. But I am inclined to think that maybe the author meant it metaphorically or figuratively. It is possible that Thomas was nicknamed the twin, not because he had a twin brother or sister, but because he had the tendency to behave like that Gollum character in the movie The Lord of the Rings. You remember that character with two personalities and who shifted constantly from one to the other? On second thought, maybe that is a little bit too much. He could also have been called the twin, not in the sense of having a split or double personality, but rather in the sense of being indecisive or non-committal about a lot of things. In English, we have the term double-mindedness. It's not a compliment to be called double-minded. Sa Tagalog, ang tawag natin ay pagdadalawang loob. May mga taong mahilig magdalawang loob tungkol sa mga bagay na dapat sana madesisyonan kaagad. Hindi makapagpasya dahil nananatili sa pagdadalawang loob. I checked out the English word doubts, which has been appended to the name of Thomas, the doubting Thomas. I found out that the word doubt is related to the word double. In fact, in the German language, you have the word two as the root word for doubt. Doubt in German is Zweifel. And two in German is zwei. Zweifel. Pagdadalawa. When Thomas sets his condition for believing, he's not actually expressing doubt about Jesus himself, but about his companions. St. John tells us Thomas was not with them. Wala daw siya, hindi nila kasama. He was not with them when Jesus appeared to the disciples in the upper room. But the writer does not explain why he was not there or where he had gone. Basta, ang sabi niya, he was not with them. Not with them could mean he was not in good terms with them. Di ba? Sa Tagalog, hindi tayo bati. Maybe that is the reason why Jesus had to give him that lesson about having his wounds touched. This man is behaving like someone who is wounded and is traumatized by the experience. No, minsan may napanood ako sa YouTube, a funny video of a team building session in which the facilitator introduced an activity for the team. At ang objective was to build mutual trust daw among the team members. Ang tawag niya doon sa activity, a free fall exercise. A free fall exercise. The facilitator asked one volunteer to step on a stool. He followed naman. He stepped on a stool. Ang sabi, stand up straight, close your eyes. And the facilitator gathered the other participants sa likod, behind the volunteer. And then he said, I want you to entrust yourself to your friends. They are there for you. They will make sure you will not get hurt. They will catch you if you fall. And now, on the count of 3, just allow yourself to go on a free fall. Take away your fears. Ready? 1, 2, 3. And the volunteer falls, not backwards, but forward. Patay. And the video stops there. We do not know what follows, but it leaves you wondering if the poor volunteer did not break his bones when he fell. Sinong sasalo sa kanya nasa likod yung sasalo. Can you blame him? He had not been told specifically to fall backwards instead of forward. Wow, that must have been painfully traumatic. And if you were in his place, I wonder if you would trust your companions ever again. In our gospel, Thomas says, unless I see his wounds, I will not believe. And I think he means, I will not believe you. There are many instances or painful occurrences, such as experiences of betrayal of trust, that are so traumatic, they make you lose trust in everybody else. There are people who have lost trust in humanity because they have been victimized by one human being and never had the chance to process the experience. This reminds me that among the crimes that can be attributed to some political leaders is betrayal of trust. Because the mere fact that people voted you in position means they entrusted their lives to you. And it's terrible when that trust is betrayed. Last Good Friday, I saw one digital poster circulating sa Facebook, in the social media. Ganito yung sinasabi. The saddest thing about betrayal is it never comes from your enemies. Let me repeat that. The saddest thing about betrayal is that it never comes from your enemies. Do we not often hear the dialogue line in the melodramatic soap operas? I will never love again. Hindi na ako iibig na muli. I will not allow myself to get hurt that badly ever again. Hindi ko nahahayaang masaktan pang muli ang aking puso. I also remember one funny line from the Gospel of Peanuts. Sabi niya, I love humanity. It is people I cannot stand. It sounds a bit like Mahatma Gandhi's famous quotation, I like your Christ. It is your Christians I do not like. And that applies to us too, in many ways. Di ba we tend to be more comfortable with the divine Christ? We find it difficult to accept His humanity because we tend to project on Him our own notion of humanity, which we commonly associate or relate with the fallen, sinful, flawed humanity. I wonder if this is not what Jesus Himself was implying when he is quoted by John as saying in John chapter 14, verse 1. You remember that reading that you commonly hear in funeral masses or masses for the dead? It says, do not let your hearts be troubled. Have faith in God and have faith also in me. The disciples have faith in the God they have encountered in Jesus. But their faith is tested the moment they deal with the humanity of Jesus, that He is bound to suffer and die like them. It is an easy thing to confess Jesus as Lord and Savior when He heals us, when He has power over the evil spirits, or when He preaches with authority. But it is another thing when we see Him also struggling with His humanity, when He grapples with His fears in the Garden of Gethsemane, or when He is rendered helpless on the cross in Calvary. The letter to the Hebrews says this about the different kind of priesthood represented by Christ. In Hebrews chapter 4, verse 15, the author says, we do not have a high priest who is unable to sympathize with our weaknesses, but rather one who has similarly been tested in every way, yet without sin. He has similarly been tested in every way, yet without sin. I think that is the best way to sum up the meaning of our devotion to the divine mercy, which was made popular by Saint Faustina, the Polish sister, Saint Faustina Kowalska. Divine Mercy Sunday. Well, this second Sunday of Easter has been permanently called Divine Mercy Sunday. Divine mercy is about the God who does not give up on us, even when we fall into sin or are defeated by our own human weaknesses. Divine mercy has a very empowering message. If God does not give up on us, why should we give up on ourselves? If God does not condemn us, why should we condemn one another? How can we claim to have faith in God and forget about the God who has faith in us? Yes, human beings in this world are definitely capable of a lot of evil. But we are also called and as capable of a lot of good and even more. Satan, has a very clever way of demoralizing us. He makes us dwell on the trauma of being wounded, of being rejected, condemned, or betrayed, so that we are conditioned into believing that everybody else is out to hurt us. Kapag nasaktan ka, akala mo sasaktan ka na lahat ng tao. Pag ninakawan ka, akala mo lahat ng tao magnanakaw. There is that tendency to generalize, to lose faith in humanity. But the reason Jesus cannot be outdone, He teaches us to touch His wounds, because it is by His wounds that we are healed. By His wounds, we are healed. You remember the 3 o'clock prayer habits associated with the divine mercy? It is from His wounded side that the source of life flowed out for souls, and the ocean of mercy opened up for the whole world. That's beautiful. The source of life flowed out for souls, and the ocean of mercy opened up for the whole world. And the prayer ends with a firm declaration of trust. Jesus, I trust in you. To trust in Jesus is not only to trust in God, but also in the new kind of humanity represented by Jesus. We no longer equate humanity with a fallen Adam. In the resurrected Christ, we have a new template for humanity. His suffering and death is not a sign of weakness, but of power. His overflowing mercy is what lifts up our lowly humanity into divinity.